Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the League of Inches podcast, round 16 review show. Thank you, obviously, to our major sponsor, Caxton Street Brewing Company. Just on the top there on the corner, Caxton Street, perfect spot to go and watch some footy, go have a feed, couple of drinks. Can announce now that we will be doing a Game 3 watch party once again there. So the decider, it's going to be huge. Spoken to a few people as well that are interested in coming. So it's going to be a massive one with a few creators and stuff as well. Looking at doing potentially a bit of a pre and a post sort of show there as well. So plenty to sort of look at, plenty to do for that one. And there'll be a couple of giveaways as well. So very pumped. So check the socials. We'll do the giveaway again. We'll do the double passes. So just check that. That'll be up in the next couple of days. And then we will also help show you ways you can just purchase your ticket from that one. But yeah, very keen to get in that one. Game 2. Keep saying, despite the result as the New South Welshman, was an awesome time there. The wings were delicious. Drinks were even better. And everyone left there in a great mood after having a great couple of hours there. Got Trav along for this one. Jakey boy tonight. I've pulled up quite well. I've been pretty sick the last few days. So I've made a miraculous recovery in the last 12 hours. I think sitting on the couch most of the weekend has helped me do that, watching some footy. But shout out to the missos who allowed me to do that. But Trav, how's things, mate?
Yeah, it's going pretty well. Hey, I just quickly want to shout out to the Caxton Street Brewing Company and their wings, and especially those, what were they called?
Lemon pepper
Szechuan wings. By far the best chicken wings I've ever had in my freaking life. They were the best. Dry rub. Oh, man, so delicious. But yeah, going all right. I'm just currently messaging our legends right now after the round's finished, just to do a bit of a review and tell them I'm in this podcast and not to expect me to get to them. But yeah, going well.
Good little shout out there. If you haven't already, join the Legends group, $2.99 per month. A bit of extra discussion, NRL, Supercoach, all that sort of jazz. See what we're doing. All kept up to date with all our changes, things like that. There was some changes this weekend before a ball was kicked off, so you only get to know those changes from all of me, Trav, and Jesse if you are part of the Legends chat. And I keep saying $2.99, less than a cup of coffee over the whole month. That is a whole month. So fantastic gear there. Give you 10% off merch. Plenty of things coming up there. Looking at some hoodies, maybe a jersey style of thing as well. So plenty of little things coming that really will benefit being part of the Legends group. Let's rip into it. So just the ladder, first of all, we always go through the ladder. So the Bulldogs, 28 points first still. The Raiders, second. The Storm leapfrog the Warriors after the Warriors were upset on the weekend. So they're both on 24 points. The Broncos, Sharkies, and Roosters, 18 points each. The Broncos and the Roosters just sneaking up there. And then 8th place, Penrith Panthers on 17 points. The Dolphins, Sea Eagles, and the Dragons all on 16. Cowboys on 15 points in 12th. The Knights, Tigers, Rabbitohs, and Eels all on 14 points. And then last place, pulling up the rear, is the Gold Coast Titans on 12 points. I'll read out those that ladder there, Trav. Any team that's sort of sticking out to you for whatever reason?
Yeah, what the hell are Penrith doing in the 8? What the hell, man? They've just moved up to the 8th. Like, we're going to talk about this soon, but it's just until I jumped onto this podcast, I didn't bloody realize. And the talking point was, are they back? And I'm sitting there, and I said to you, no. And then I just looked at it, and went, 8th? Holy Jesus! Yeah, righto. So I've got no idea, but yeah, Penrith are in the 8th. That's what stands out to me.
Yeah, no, I second that one. I put my hand up. I wrote them off. I said that they're done for the year a month ago when they're sitting last, and now look at them. So as you said, we will get to them. Just quickly go over the results before we get into our talking points for this evening's show. So the Raiders beating the Tigers 16 points to 12. Penrith overcoming the Warriors, very depleted Penrith side. This is a big win for them and a huge loss for the Warriors as well. 28 points to 18. The Knights back over in Perth, got the job done against the Dolphins, 26 points. Excuse me. 26 points at 20. The Storm, 25, beat the Rabbitohs 24. Today's games, the Sharkies lost to the Broncos 34 points to 28. The Roosters 42 beat the Cowboys 8. And the Eels beat the Titans 36 points to 20 without Brown and Moses. That's a huge win for the Eels, which we will talk about a bit more later on in the show. First talk of mine, a bit of a shout, a bit of a respect thing more than anything. Jerome Luai, Hudson Young, and just in general, like most of the Origin players who did back up this weekend, shout out to them. This is the second game in a row now. I feel like the majority or who can back up have backed up. I've noted those two down because that was within 48 hours, including that a 4 hour or so flight back from Perth. And both for mine had huge roles in their sides' performances on that Friday night. So shout out to both of them. It's pretty crazy. I sort of have another little bit to add to this, but first of all, I just want to praise those guys, Trav. It's been a pretty mammoth effort when you actually sit back and look at it.
I think it's more than a mammoth effort, man. I think that's even in itself is understating what they had to do. They played in Perth. So, like, not only did they play that game, and that game was brutal, right? It was pouring down rain the whole game. It was physical. It was tough. Yeah, even by the stats, there wasn't a lot of meters done, but there was a lot of takes. It was just a gritty game of Origin footy, and they've got to fly 4 hours at least to get back. It's just an incredible effort. Mammoth is an understatement for what they had to do, and I'm currently trying to go through the list quickly around who didn't back up and who did, and there's only 2 or 3 names. Like, it's incredible effort.
Yeah, very, very much so. On the second part of this, do you feel like, because let's talk about, for instance, Payne Haas today. Like, he was amazing. What a performance by him. But he was looking a little bit busted at times. I had a few of the old heart in the mouth moments as a New South Welshman watching that going, oh, no, don't push yourself too much, please. Is there some of these teams at the moment you feel like a little bit of short-sighted views, or is it the fact that the competition's that close at the moment? I get they have to basically play these guys to stick in around the 8 and things like that. And for the Broncos case now, they're into 5th position. I'd probably argue if Payne Haas didn't play today, they probably wouldn't have won. I think he was pretty huge for the Broncos today. So that probably goes to say that Madge has done the right thing. But is one game worth a potential of 4 or 5 week injury and things like that? Or is it just, as I said, it's just simply a point where you just got to play these guys at the moment while the competition is so close? Like the Storm, like you're a Storm fan, and I think I heard Bellamy's presser. He said that he's not even thinking about resting these guys at the moment, unfortunately, because they're in a position where they're fighting for a top 2 berth. They're not there yet at the moment, and they've got 2 very good teams in front of them. So at the moment, as long as his boys, he said, are fit, they'll be playing.
You know me, and the listeners know me. I don't like playing in what ifs, so I'm not going to play that field of the what ifs. It's as simple as between 5th and 17th on our ladder, there's 6 points in it, right? So Broncos are 5th only because of the point differential, which is 50. To the Sharks, who have the same, to the Sharks and the Roosters, who are both on 18 points. With point differentials of 20 for the Sharks and 16 for the Roosters. So quite simply, one game is absolutely crucial to to this ladder. It's as simple as that. It's 3 games difference between the bottom of the ladder to up the top. So to the 5th spot. So they have to. At the end of the day, the ladder is what the ladder is, and Origin is what Origin is. Origin is an add-on. It's they have to do it, but it's an add-on. But their priority is their clubs. So when you're in these positions, and some clubs don't have these depths, and it'll be very interesting once it comes to 18 and 19 clubs, what depth in these teams is going to be like, because come Origin time, it's going to be even harder to want to drop these guys, because the depth is going to be spread even further. So, yeah, I'm of the belief that if the player can back up, even if they're not 100%, if they're not carrying some sort of debilitating injury or whatever, and it's just a bit of soreness and a bit of tiredness or whatever, then yeah, in my opinion, is they play. That they play for the club. That Origin is just an add-on. spectacle for us all that we love. But yeah, that's my sort of honest and brutal opinion. I'm pretty straightforward with it. And the other side of it too, and the reason why I said I don't want to play in what ifs is because, you know, if we continue to keep playing in these what if he gets injured in 3 weeks' time, or what if he plays this game and now he's out for 4 to 5? Well, that's going to happen anyways. Like, how many times have players been injured on a Thursday training run and then are out 4 or 5 weeks? Like, yeah. So I don't want to play in that what if field. My opinion is simply if they're able to and they're a fit body, put them on.
And I think a good thing, going back to sort of Bellamy and what he touched on, I keep going back to there because I think that's a very good judge to judge all this. He's first of all involved with the Blues. He knows what the players are going through each camp. And he's obviously got a number of those Melbourne players who are part of Queensland and what they're doing at the moment. So he also mentioned the fact that, look, they'll play the games, but what he will do to counteract that is give them an extra day or two off training, reduce some of the loads during the week, things like that, which very smart way of doing it. I feel like that's probably where we're getting to with the modern day science, things like that, training techniques and that. So I feel like most of these players now will do the same. They'll just have their extra day or two probably off this week, get their bodies right. And it's just more so, fingers crossed, they get through that short turnaround and play and things like that. So I think we've seen
sorry, man. Go.
I was going to say we've seen it with like Hudson Young, for instance. He played the game, started. There was talk that Ricky was going to start him off the bench, but he literally goes to Ricky, do we want to change something that's working? Which I thought was quite funny. And then Ricky said, no, mate, I realized once he said that, I don't want to change it. So that was good. But then he just gave him that extra, I think, like last 10 or 15 minutes off. So you get a bit of a break, got a bit of a rest and just sort of work it.
Yeah. Technology these days is pretty unreal, eh? Like, and we got to appreciate that a little bit more. And by that, I'm saying it's not just the machines and the stuff that we've got out there for recovery, but it's the knowledge the people have and the medicine around that they have to make these people back up and get through and recover. You know, like, you know, our masseuses and our chiros and our physios and all of those sorts of stuff, and the knowledge they've got now is just incredible, right? So it's not about just having a day off training. It's I would dare say that day off that they have that's not training will be sitting in some sort of shop somewhere or some medical place somewhere getting that extra amazing treatment to get them through. Like, and that's what they've got the facilities and the stuff to do. So yeah, it's incredible. And we're in 2025 and we've got to appreciate what these guys have to do to get their bodies healthy and fit to keep going.
100%. Another thing I want to appreciate as at the start of this podcast, we're being pretty positive. It's unlike us to be so positive.
It's unlike you particularly.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe this little bit of a man flu got me on the other side.
Turn you soft, and we like it.
Yeah, it has. And you know, shout out to these push-up challenge that we have been doing. I tell you what, even though I've been sick, I've been smashing through them. And I think we're on the last week now. So I'll put up at the start of this week, I'll put up another way you can donate. If you can do so, please do. Otherwise, we are just trying to raise awareness to a very special cause. And the push-ups, if anything, help me get in a better mind frame as after that exercise. It does do a good little job. It does do what they talk about. But look, positive story once more. Jed Stewart, that try on debut. Funny enough, I think round 16 was the time that Ricky scored his first Raiders try as well, back when he was playing, which is an awesome little stat to see. And just to see Ricky's emotions or lack of, which I think spoke a lot, because Ricky is a very emotional guy. I think we all love him for it as well, deep down. I think everyone likes that. It's a love-hate relationship with Ricky, I feel, like a lot of league fans out there. But I actually really love his passion that he has for the game, for his players. Love how he treats them all like his son. And then this time he had his son. Hearing all the stories in the lead-up where he basically was trying to keep him away from this moment, just because obviously the father takes over from the coach, but the boys went to him and said, no, you've got to make it happen. He's ready. Put him in. It's unfair if you don't. And to be fair, he didn't do anything that didn't show that he wasn't ready for it. So great work by him. I think he's going to have a great career ahead of him. I think he's got a good little patch of games here coming up as well, which will help him get a bit of confidence. But just that lack of passion from Ricky spoke volumes for mine, because that I was ready for him to just start going in the press conference and things like that, like I've seen him do in the past, instead it's like just balling or something. But Yeah, it was a special father-son moment that I think everyone can sort of resonate to, especially like your father and like you got your own fathers and sons and that sort of stuff out there. Special moment, Trav. Very special to watch.
Oh, look, it was that pure blown lack of emotion, but we know deep down behind the straight face, he was bawling his eyes out. We know it.
Yeah.
Like my, my old man is a bit older than Ricky. He was the defense force, so he was a real hard ass. I know full well that he's a big softy inside, but he just won't. He'll just put the glass face on and won't ever show you that. Yeah, it was him. The no emotion and the no words really spoke more than if he had have actually said something and done something. In my opinion, as you've very eloquently explained, and how good was that? I think it was brilliant. Like he showed. Let's be fair. Like he showed that he was a rookie. He definitely played like he was a rookie, but he didn't make any big mistakes. He just did what he had to do. He was just smart. He was just safe. But the try was good. That was a good try. That was a really good finish, and yeah, he did a really good job. Let's hope that he can solidify that position over the next sort of 10 weeks, because those edges in the Raiders are stacked, and it's tough to. It's going to be a tough get, but if he can prove himself there, it's going to be a hard drop, especially come finals time, because he's now going into this. Well, he's playing himself into a legitimate premiership contention spot. It's going to be really hard to be dropping him come round 26, 27 in the lead up to finals, after he's played all those games, because he's going to, because of that's how long those injuries are. Yeah, I can't wait for it. It's a big story.
Yeah, that's what I'm taking anything away from Tamala, who's been absolutely sensational this year as well, which is why, like you said, it'll be such a hard decision for Ricky. And look, I think Ricky is probably one of the best out there to do this and to be up for that discussion or decision when it does happen. No doubt about it. I think here, but it'll still be hard. It'll be very hard to do, to take away your, I guess, your father hat on and I'll take your father hat off and then put your coach's hat on. But I think Ricky's probably one of the best men in the competition to do that. Let's talk about a couple of the teams and things like that. So, Penrith Panthers, you mentioned it a bit earlier. We both said they're our shocks at the moment. They're sitting in 8th position, 17 points. So that one little point has helped them at the moment get into the 8. That could be a telling factor as we continue to go into the business end of the season. As I said, I'll put my hand up. I wrote them off. I thought there were no chance of getting to the finals this year, but the nature of this competition, how close it's been, it's probably helped them in a way as well. There's no top 8 streaking ahead of teams. There's upsets every week at the moment, including this weekend. It's been ridiculous, the results. That win, first of all, on the weekend against the Warriors is a huge win. I think this was a telling factor of how this season's going to go, because there was a couple of players here who won't be part of week-to-week footy for them when it is getting to those round 19 through to 27 where you're needing the wins and stuff like that. But there'll be players that they'll need to rely on here and there, whether they rest players or there's injuries, stuff like that. So to come out and put a statement win like that when your top 4 or 5 best players in your team weren't there is huge. And that should be a huge confidence-boosting win for this club now, getting to that next stage for the rest of the competition. And if I'm to go that one step further with this, I actually feel like now the top 8 is starting to watch them and go, holy shit, like the Penrith Panthers are here again. Like I thought we were about to get into this finals football and we weren't going to have to beat this team. I love the storylines to it. I love the fact that now it looks like a team's going to have to at least beat and knock the Penrith Panthers out to take over the mantle of the premiers. I love that story side of it. But I'll tell you what, Trav, I think there's a number of teams out there going, our job's just got a hell of a lot harder.
I think teams were already thinking that anyways.
We all know they didn't look like making it.
Even when they were on the bottom of the ladder, though, like it was literally because of injuries and a whole heap of different bits and pieces. But I still think, as we all said, if they can make the 8, they're going to be difficult. That win on the weekend was probably one of the most gutsiest wins by a team I've seen in years. It wasn't eloquent. It was said that twice in this podcast. That's poor by me.
Good word.
It wasn't pretty. It wasn't Penrith Panthers type footy. It was gritty. It was hard. It was dirty. They did it. I've got a few shout outs to give, and that Thomas Jenkins is a monster. He is so good. He's so underrated. And to come in like he played that one game at fullback and filled in for Edwards so well. Then they chucked him in the centres, and then they've now thrown him out on the wings. He's played himself into positions where they've just had to place him somewhere because he played so well that they've put him there, and then he's just done so well that they've had to find. Then someone comes back and they've had to find somewhere to put him. I'm so in awe of how that fella's come about and done. He played really well on the weekend. I mean, Schneider with the 3 try assists, like he just stepped in like there was no Cleary. Who's Cleary? I thought Moses Leota was just a workhorse monster. He's 42 minutes for 174 meters is freakish. These are just insane. I was sitting there counting because you said four players that missed, and I was like, hang on, I feel like there's more than that. So I was going through it. They're missing Edwards, To'o, Martin, Cleary, Yo. International guys.
It's a few players.
Just a couple of dudes, and I feel like I saw Lindsay. I feel like I saw Lindsay. Did I see Lindsay Smith at Origin? Did I see him?
Yeah, he wasn't playing either. He
was there, wasn't he?
Yeah, he didn't play on the weekend. I mean, he was out.
Lindsay Smith.
Yeah, because it was part of they couldn't fly him over either. So that's
NRL.com got him down for 57 minutes.
Did he play? Okay, I was wrong. My apologies.
Got him down for 57 minutes, but I swear I saw him at Origin. I swear I saw him before the game.
I'm with you.
With the bats and stuff up. Like, what's going on? So, but what I'm saying is, maybe there was a flight that he could get on to get to get all the way to New Zealand. But what I'm saying is, what a monumental effort for him to go from Perth to go all that way, and then go and play like that and put up 57 minutes. It was just a gritty, hard ass win. And as I said, that was probably one of the better wins that I've seen in years. Yeah, full credit to them. They did a really good job against a flying Wars team who pretty much, they're not too dissimilar to anyone else in the comp. They've got a couple of injuries, but so is everybody. But that list across the board is stacked, and they're still very, very good. And to do that at home and lose to Penrith is incredible.
Yeah. No, I agree. I feel like I'll answer the question that I feel like they are back. They're definitely back. They're a scary proposition now. The one sort of little mark there against them is just obviously Cleary's fitness at the moment, having that leg injury that hampered him in Origin 2. We're not too sure what's going on there, how serious it is. It seems to be under wraps, even for Penrith medical staff coming out saying they didn't really know what was going on with it either in the lead up to Origin, which is a bit concerning. I feel like where club and state aren't really talking. I think that might be a storyline down the track into Game 3, depending on what happens there. So I definitely think Penrith are back. I think a lot of teams now, the top 4 are worried. I feel like those that don't make the top 4 and have necessarily, for mine, a poor season compared. Like you looked at the Broncos, the Sharks, and if you thought they weren't going to make the top 4 this year, that would probably end up being some poor years for them with the rosters that they had at the start. So if they're going to be playing knockout football from the get-go in finals week 1, and one of their opposition is the Penrith Panthers, they'll be kicking themselves, I think, because that's going to be a huge game. And I think whoever Penrith versus week 1, if they don't make the top 4, they'll be probably odds-on favourite to win. I think most people out there will back them to do so as well. So it'll be I'm very keen to see how this happens. I'm very keen to watch this next 2-3 months of football. Very keen.
Oh man, it's been such an unbelievable year. I've loved it. I've loved being so much more invested in it with obviously what we do as a podcast and content creators. It's just made it so much more fun. But we all predicted, everyone, and I think across the board from other creators, we all predicted the year was going to be funny like this. It was going to be such a tight knit. We knew that our ladder predictions were going to be so way off. We could probably pick the bottom 2 or 3 teams. It would have been, maybe we didn't get the actual position right, but we knew who was going to be that bottom 3. But to predict Penrith to ever be on the bottom of the ladder for a week and do what's going on this year is just, it is mind blowing. I pose a question to you just quickly, and then I'll tell you why I'm going to pose this afterwards. But how many wins do you think you need to have had by the end of this year to make the 8?
It's normally 12, or at least about 12. I know how close this competition is, so I feel like this might even be a year where 11 may get you over just, but at the same time, I'm just going to lock in 12. I'm going to say 12 will be the magic number.
I'm actually going to say that 12 is conservative because I think it's going to have to be a little bit more this year. I think it's funny, but yeah, that's my opinion. But I think that's where it is. But let's just go with 12 as a conservative number. Penrith have 6 wins right now. I've played 14. I'll go through their draw. They play the Bulldogs next week. Both teams will be full. Do they win?
Oh, where's it at? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's not really. Oh, that's such a tough one to tip already. I would lean just towards the Doggies, I think.
So, okay.
Everything would be around Cleary.
So I'm going to take that. I agree. I'm going to go with the Bulldogs. It's too hard to go with the number 1 team. Then they've got the bye. Then they've got Penrith. Then they've got Para.
They'll win that.
Okay, so there's 1. Then they've got the Rabbitohs at CommBank again.
They'll win that. That's
2. Then they've got the West Tigers at CommBank.
They'll win that.
That's 3. Then they've got the Titans at Seabus.
They'll win that. Holy
That's
shit.
4. Then they've got the Knights at McDonald Jones Stadium. That's 5. Then they've got the Storm at CommBank.
They'll lose that.
Then they've got the Raiders at Glen Willow. Oh, in Mudgee. Damn.
Yeah, Mudgee. You know what? I think the Raiders will be up there to prove they're a top 2 team. I think the Raiders will get them.
So there you go. So that's still 5. Then they got the Bulldogs at Accor.
Doggies will want to be top spot or top 2.
And then last game they got the Dragons at Wynn Stadium in Wollongong.
Yeah, they'll win that. That'll get them
their
home.
6th win. So that'll be 6. That'll be by the end of the year. That's 6. So they'll be essentially. So this is even better. Is that they'll be Penrith are fighting for an 8th spot or a final spot. And it'll be all the way down to that last round. Incredible. I can't wait. Do I think that they're going to get there? I'm not going to write them off. I've really struggled to write them off all year, even though I've sort of said I have at times, and I was never convinced. I don't think they make the 8 myself, but I think it's going to be bloody close.
Oh, how good. I'm going to lock him in to make it. I'm going to say, yep. I'll follow my sword. I've changed. I've turned around. I'm back on. I feel like, and I feel like I'll go even further and say if they make the finals, I reckon they'll make the grand final. I'll go that far and say
big calls. Because I reckon in 2 weeks, the way that you change, you change your opinion like you change your jocks, mate. So like, I'd say by the end of next week, you'll probably be off Penrith again. But anyways,
it's because I'm not scared. I just put it out there. Unlike a few of the other boys that are on here, maybe looking at one, maybe not, who just doesn't make these calls that I make. So talking about some big calls, the South Sydney Rabbitohs, we look at them and I know they're 3rd last at the moment, and we look and go, that's a poor year. But when I actually peel back some layers for South Sydney, I was sitting there last night, and I'm just thinking, this could be one of. Don't underestimate the coaching ability of Wayne Bennett this year. Like, I know on the ladder it doesn't look great, and then you're probably sitting there going, "Oh yeah, this is just another Wayne Bennett sort of year where it just hasn't lived up to the hype." Things like that. I'm so opposite on this at the moment in South. So I feel like the injuries that they've had on a constant basis this year to put in the performances that they have, there's been a number of games there where they've been right in the contest up to the last seconds of the game. And there was no need. Like you saw on paper, Melbourne shot out to, I think it was a 12-0 lead very early. They could have easily just been shut up shop, fed the bunnies, too hard basket. Let's save ourselves. Let's not get any more injuries. And we'll come into the game, our next game where we can probably beat the team we play. They didn't do that, and they haven't done that all year, really. Like, they've always been wanting to fight, and I've just got to send out a lot of respect out there for the Bunnies. I feel like they've gone under the radar quite a bit this year, just in terms of, I guess, the result on the scoreboard hasn't quite been there. But, mate, I think there's a lot of teams out there that even are above them at the moment, if they were putting in the efforts that the Bunnies have been putting in week to week, would be a lot higher up the ladder, and they have a lot less excuses than the Rabbitohs have so far this year.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. Unfortunately, for a podcast where you want to sort of have a review and a bit of a debate, I actually agree with you totally. I think, look, they've had patches where they've been really poor and they've played really poor, like particularly at the start of the year. Even though, I mean, with a couple of the games that they've played with some of the wins after, like the game against the Sharks in round 3 was poor, but then they go and beat Penrith, then they beat the Roosters. Then they lost the Cowboys and they got belted in round 7 to the Bulldogs 32-zip. I thought they then stood up nicely against the Storm in that round 8 match, and then they got belted by the Knights in round 9. But since then, something clicked, right? And that coincided with a few of their injuries and a few things that have happened. But like, let's go last night against the Storm. They realistically probably should have won the game. It went to Golden Point. Latrell Mitchell misses that kick. By the way, what a leg. Like, he kicked that. And I turned to my wife and just went, as much as we are the Storm fans here, how the freaking hell did he kick that 55 meters like that? Like, oh my God.
Thought he got it.
Oh, so did everybody. But yeah, incredible. But anyways, to miss that, but they were in touch. They were playing well. It was literally just a couple of Storm brilliant moments. Like, and so I think they were really good. I thought against the Bulldogs here. So I was looking all this before. My bads, man. So at the 6-minute mark, the 12-minute mark, the 15-minute mark, the Bulldogs put on 3 tries. All of them were converted. So they were down 18-0 and lost to the Bulldogs by a try. They went 38-56, 71-78 and lost to the Bulldogs by a try. That Montoya 60-minute try was a bit of a killer for them. But then they come back and put 2 on by Whiten and Munro. Like, that was what a monumental effort against the Bulldogs for that. The week before that was just as good against the Raiders. And although they got belted in the second half, they were up at halftime, 10-4. Or 10-6, sorry. And they actually scored the first 2 tries. Mitchell only converted the first one that made it 10 points. So they were 10-0 right up until just before halftime when Strange got that really good try. So again, they just got belted by a Raiders team that has, been doing that sort of thing to a lot of teams. Like, that's a really good effort. The week before that, they lost to the Wires 30-36. But again, I actually thought they played really well. It was just the Wires in just their brilliance that were able to put it over the top of them. Like, the point is, what I'm saying is that it's exactly what you are saying, is that whilst, yes, they're sitting 15th on the ladder, they are still only 4 points away, 2 wins away from 8th spot, or from 5th spot, to be fair, and playing some pretty good footy at times, that with the amount of injuries and stuff that they've had to play and deal with. Like, their first choice hooker in Mamazelis is injured. They've missed Mitchell. They've had no Cam Murray. Kulamattangi's missed bits. And the list just goes on. Like, the Cody Walker, Jamie Humphreys had a really good start to the year, then missed a big chunk. Like, yeah, it's just a really, really good effort.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's one that I actually feel like they get a couple of these troops back as well. I feel like they can make a bit of a run with it and make the finals. I'm not putting the red pen through them at the moment. I actually feel like they're playing a really good brand of football. I really like what I've seen from Latrell the last few weeks in a Bunnies jersey as well. I think he's starting to really step up, and that Wayne Bennett effect for him is really showing it. I kind of want to see Cody Walker get a bit of fitness into him and actually put on a few consecutive games, because I feel like with what Latrell's getting off Wayne, Cody's similar, and he can get the same sort of effect from Wayne. We just haven't been able to see because he hasn't got his body right this year, unfortunately. If he can, I'd definitely see the Bunnies going on a bit of a run towards the back end of the year and being a pain in the backside for a lot of those teams above them. But like I said, they'll be right in the thick of that probably 7th, 8th, 9th sort of spot towards the end of the year. Just how congested everything is, and like they've got too many quality plays in there. Kalamatangi has been huge to come back from. He was rumored a week ago now to be out for 3 or 4 weeks, and now he's already back and didn't shy away from anything from like the first hit off the kickoff. I feel like he went out of his way to try and get his face hit. He just wasn't going anywhere but on that field and trying to lead from the front. So they've got a few of those really big guns out there. AJ, Alex Johnson, obviously shout out to him getting very, very close to that record, which is going to be huge. And the way they're playing, he'll break it this year. No doubt about that. He'll break it in the next month. The way they're going, everything's going to his side. Very clear what they're doing. That left edge is back humming. And like I said, if they can get Cody Walker back in there, I feel like the Bunnies are a real big team to watch for the back end of this year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like they've got, if they, like I said before, if the Rabbitohs had their full list last night, it was only that the Storm with brilliance was the reason why they were able to get up, like the Sua Fa'alongo. Like they had to rely on that individual, just exceptional move or play to win that game. If the Rabbitohs have, just a Cody Walker or something for a full game, that makes that whole different. It makes a completely different game. They were also missing Campbell Graham. They were also, I think Ravalawa would be interesting. Like there was talk that he'd be playing. Like he's definitely a lock. They've missed Mamas Ellison. Obviously, they're missing Cameron Murray. But I think to be fair, let's credit where it's due. These guys that have had to come in and play have done such a good job. It's only going to benefit them for the future. And now you've got, isn't it amazing what Latrell Mitchell can do when the dude's healthy? When the dude's fit and healthy, he's one of the best players in the competition, and he's so freaking fun to watch. I really enjoy watching him. I love his sass and his arrogance. I love how he can miss these first 2 field goals, and then he makes the second one. He turns to his own crowd and sticks his tongue out to him and says, "Yeah, what are you talking about?" Like, I love that. I love that about him. I don't think I like that arrogance without being a cocky prick. And we can say that. Sometimes you can say that about Latrell Mitchell, but I do like his arrogance and the sass that he has. Amazing what you can do when you're healthy. I'm very keen and eager to see how this plays out. But the point is, they've unearthed some guns. Like they've realized that Kalamatangi is probably one of the best, if not the best, forward in the competition now. And he's got a lockdown spot. I think Lockie Hubner has played that lock role really well, and they've unearthed a really nice player for that, which makes it interesting as to what happens with Cam Murray next year when he returns. Or there's talk that he might even return this year, but it'd be very interesting to see what they do with him. I think they've unearthed some really nice talent on the wings. I like what they're doing in the halves. Jamie Humphries is playing really well. And let's not forget that I think there's word that they're paying $700,000 to one Lewis Dodd. And he's not even getting a game yet. So it'll be very interesting to see how this all plays out and what happens. But if you were asking for a coach to manage that in the competition, you wouldn't look past too much further than Wayne Bennett. I think he's doing a bloody good job.
Yeah. And just if Laurie doesn't get Kalamatangi in that 1-17 somewhere in Origin Game 3, you got rocks in your head. Seriously, I don't know what else he can do. That's just he's the form. Arguably, Payne Haas. We'll talk about him in a minute, but he's up there with the form middles in the game. He's his form and what he's doing on a weekly basis now is just undeniable, and you just got to start rewarding that. In my opinion, I think the Queenslanders will be absolutely pooping their pants at the sight of Kalamatangi in a Blues jersey in Game 3. Talking about Payne Haas, the game today that we got to watch, the Broncos versus Sharkies, entertainment deluxe. I had to check my Foxtel to make sure I wasn't on the entertainment channel because it was just galore. It was amazing to watch. I feel like, obviously defensively, I feel like both sides need to change a few things to talk about the defensive side of things to challenge some of these better teams in the competition. I still think they're not there yet. Definitely when they've got their attack humming, though, they're very good teams to watch. They'll put points on most teams in the competition when they're playing like that. There's no doubt about that, but they do need to sort that defensive side of their games out if they all want to challenge this year. That's simple facts. There's two ways that both teams will talk about a little bit. I want to go the Broncos side of it first because early on, they didn't look great. They looked they came back from a 16-0 deficit. So early days, I'm sitting there going, oh, we're in the chats going, this is not good. Like, what is going on here? They need to start buying into Madge and get rid of some of these players that aren't, things like that. And then halftime happened, sort of flicked a switch, and they were just a different beast. I was joking around saying they need that black jersey back out. They need that's their new home jersey. They need to get it back, and came out in the second half as if they were wearing it. There was a very huge performance from them. I said Payne Haas was massive. Coming off, he didn't look 100%. He didn't look 100% from the get-go, but he didn't shy away from anything. The numbers he put in were just ridiculous. Shout out to Katoni Staggs. I think Katoni Staggs has been really good the last few weeks. Barnstorming centre. Reece Walsh had a few moments of brilliance as well. Reynolds steered the team around nicely. But all around, Trav, I just feel like, as I said, like I'm not going to go out there and say it was a fantastic performance because I think defensively they were quite poor. But ball in hand, absolute excitement machine.
Yeah, I mean, you summed it up really well. Is exactly I said these things in our chat. Is that defensively they were atrocious in that first half. Defensively, though, it was horrible to watch. Like, full credit to what you're saying about Katoni Staggs, but one of those tries that he allowed was just atrocious. Like, his defense was bad, and that's one thing that we know of Katoni Staggs. Like, he's not the most attacking center in the comp, but he's a he's a better than average defender. And to watch what that was and what I saw in that first half defensively across the park of the Broncos was just poor. But, you know, in regular season, defense doesn't really win your matches. It's the offense that does. And they're an offensive juggernaut. And when when they're on their day and offensively they can power their way through, they can put points on anybody and will do what they've done to the Sharks in the same sort of way. The problem is that when it comes down to the gritty games and the really good teams that do play defense, you're not going to be able to put 34 onto them. You'll only put 20, 24 onto them, and they will as well, if not more. So that's the challenge that the Broncos have got. And one thing that I think the Broncos are going to have to deal with, and one thing that I actually thought Madge probably would have set up really in early days, and one thing that was supposed to have happened from what I saw in preseason, was he was going to bring that really hard, gritty defense. And I'm not seeing it yet. And unfortunately, because the Sharks are pretty much an identical team to the Broncos, they don't play much defense either. And so therefore, when the offensive powerhouse comes through like they did as a juggernaut today, you can't keep up with them. They scored tries from the 19, 37, 53, 57, 67, 71. It was literally from that 19-minute mark to the 30, it was 18 minutes. And then it was just every 15, 16 minutes. And beyond, and quicker. It was just incredible to be putting on tries and doing what they're doing. You're right. I actually thought Reece Walsh offensively was really good. There's talk around his PCL and what he's going to do. He's just got very limited agility side to side, and I think that's going to be a problem moving on. So that'll be really interesting to see. I think that's a problem with your fullback if he's playing like that. But he was really good today. But I thought the play of Corey Pakes in the first half was really good. I think Corey Pakes should be their choice hooker from who's actually played right now. Because when he plays really well. And I thought he was really good. But then he came off at the 49-minute mark, and then Billy Walters played out, basically. And I didn't like that. And I thought I didn't think Billy Walters offered all that much as a hooker. It couldn't have. I would have just played. To me, I think Corey Pakes is a different player and just offers a bit more. But yeah, they were really good offensively, but they really need to pick up on that defense.
Yeah, well, I think we can both agree they're not contenders at this stage until they can start doing that. It's funny as well, Madge, he's known for that defensive sort of structure and being able to just bog teams down, really frustrate the crap out of him. But I feel like that part of their game still they haven't quite bought into when it comes to the Madge style. So But to be fair, I haven't seen many Madge teams attack this style either. So they've definitely feel like they're sort of meeting at the middle at the moment. They just need to find a way to get back to the other side of it. For the Sharkies, pretty disappointed, to be honest. I know they scored those points as well, and there was moments that looked great. They started really well, I thought. I saw day game Broncos. I almost wish I chose the Sharkies, and then about 20 odd minutes into the game, I was cursing. I was going, "Oh, damn it! Wish I went on and listened to myself." But then afterwards, I'm sitting there thinking, "I'm Gus, going, how good is this? Never in doubt, never in doubt." But very disappointed with a couple of their players. Again, sort of halves of the game was sort of there for the taking, just went missing. I thought it was a really disappointing sort of game, but I know I get Nico was busy. Trindle for mine, I almost didn't even notice he was in the game. This game, and it's just been so. These two just can't get this combination right. It doesn't matter what they do; they just can't get the combination right, and it's really starting to affect their edges. It's starting to affect, and it's a funny thing to say because they did score some points today, but in the grand scheme of things, they can't keep going like this because it's just simply going to not work. And that roster on paper from the start of the year should not be sitting right now in sixth spot thinking, geez, these guys are a couple more losses. They haven't looked great all year, really. They could be battling to make the eight. It's some worrying signs for the Sharks.
Yeah, it is. I thought Trindle finished off a couple of nice plays early. I think with his 2 try assists that he got, but really that's, as you said, that's literally all he did for this game. Other than that, he was a big passenger. And these are the exact same words that you used, Joel, to quote you basically last week, is what you said about Hines. And so you've gone from 1 week about Hines and being a passenger to now this week saying Trindle is the pass. And it doesn't bode confidence with or instill much confidence in me about their future if that's the way that their halves work, where it's one or none kind of thing. Like one of them steps up and then the other one sort of takes a backward step. Like that doesn't happen for the Storm in terms of Hughes and Munster, right? It doesn't happen. It definitely doesn't, and has never really happened for Penrith in their 4 premierships. It was always Luai as a backup to Cleary. Cleary was the dude, but Luai played a big part and played a big role. Let's go to the Raiders right now, and that Ethan Strange, since about a quarter of the way through the season, has been really good, working beside Fogarty, and they work as a tandem, as a partnership. Right now, you got the Dolphins, Katoa and Nikorima are working in tandem as a really nice partnership. Like Sandon Smith, and unfortunately, he's now done an MCL. The fella, but like Sandon Smith and Zavala since Zavala's come on is a really nice tandem and partnership. But you look at Trindle and Hines; they're not on paper. The two of them together, you look at it and like, yeah, okay, that's one of the better halves partnerships in the competition. But they're not. They're not a tandem. They're not a partnership. It's one or the other, and then that's it. It's never together. They're not working together, and it's a shame because they should be doing a hell of a lot better and they should be a lot more fun to watch. I actually liked Nico Hines today. I thought he tried really hard. I thought he played really hard. He did his role. Do I think he was worth his money today? No, but he was worth pretty close to it. I thought he was pretty good. But you're right. Like their edges, so their wingers and centers are probably the best 4. All 4 of them on paper in the competition have looked like nothing this year. And that's incredible. And to say like that, like even with what they've got now in Katoa, Ramian, Talakai, Mulatalo, you add in that they're missing Iro, who's probably the best one of the lot of them. But you swap that in, it's even better, but yet it's not. And I think it's obviously on the back of those two. I think Nikora has really had a really down year this year. Again, he relies off his halves, setting him up because he is such a good runner, but they're not setting him up. AFB has, he's been okay. He's been better than okay, but he's not been that elite dude, like that powerhouse wrecking ball like he was at the Wars last year and the year before that. He's just not done that this year. But why? Because I think it's off the back of their halves and the fact that they don't play in tandem. and together as a partnership. So, yeah, I'm concerned about the Sharks immensely. But, the biggest thing to me is that, offensively, they were a beast up until the 46-minute mark. They get that try in the 46-minute mark, and then they didn't score again. They had 28 points in 46 minutes and didn't score a point in the last 32 minutes. And then go and let the Broncos put 4 tries on. Two to Shibasaki and 2 to Karapani. It's just the thing that concerns me the biggest amount with the Sharks is that they just don't have they don't play with enough ticker for long enough, and they don't play with enough grit for long enough, and that's really concerning. And that comes down to many reasons, but I think this is on not only just the players, but this is also on the coach. And I think Fitzgibbon's lost his way. And I think that's a really big concern because, yeah, you're right. You summed it up really well. This team shouldn't be in 6th. Based on that list, this is not a team that's in 6th, and we should not be asking questions around, are they even going to make the 8? I actually had them as one of the best teams, premiership contenders. Well, they're far from it right now. And I think it's on the back of just they don't show heart. They don't show grit for long enough. They do for at parts of times, but not for 80 minutes. And then also, I actually think that there's too much arrogance and too much back chatting and too much banter and too much shit that they do outside of that as well. I think there's got to be a bit of a. I think they all need to sit down in a room and really question each other as to where they feel like they should be this year and whether they're actually happy with what they're doing.
Yeah, one player I will shout out who I feel like is in probably career best form. Blake Brayley. I think he's been really, really good for them at the moment. And it's a funny time because he's in career best, yet he's sort of in a way pulling the rest of his spine members along because I feel like the rest of them, yet Nico has been busy, but I definitely feel like Kennedy and Trindle as well have been really poor for a couple of weeks now, which is funny because Kennedy started the year really well. There was a lot of raps for him, but I feel like as the weeks go on, Kenny's sort of fallen back into where a lot of people have rated him and have said from the start of the year where the Sharkies need a bit of a shake-up there in the one spot to be that contender this year. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens with that moving forward. I know Cade Dykes, the youngster, was obviously out this year. No, Ero as well as really impacting their backline stocks as well as Hiroti. So I don't think they can do too much at the moment. But there was a few comments about it after the game. There's no Atkinson today. That was interesting. I'm not sure what's going to happen there. They're obviously trying to plan life without him because he does leave at the end of the year. But at the moment, they're in a window for mine to win a competition. And after what you're seeing this year, you can't say that window is going to be extending out to next year at this stage because I don't think they're showing any signs of improvement in this squad. I feel like if anything, this squad's declining slowly. It's not a rapid decline, but like it's just one of those declines where they sort of feel like they're sitting there. As you said, like Fitz is not doing too many like changes. All his changes seem to be forced changes. There's nothing on like the front foot to wake this sort of team up a little bit, this squad up. So it's interesting to see what does happen next year and I guess the rest of this year. One other big final one I'll leave you with. I'll say a big call here, and I'll probably cop it for it, even off you, and I get it. I know you love this guy, but AFB. I think AFB's had a pretty down year. I don't think
I just said I haven't.
Yeah, I'm going a bit further, but I'm saying I'll say I think he's had a poor year. I think he has had a poor year this year at the Sharks.
Well, I just said what I thought about him. I think he's had a down year. He wasn't that wrecking ball. I'm not going to go as far as saying he's had a poor year, and I think that's a poor take in my opinion. But I think that's very harsh. Actually, is probably a better way to say it. Not a poor take because I see what you're saying and why. But I don't think he's just not showing what they signed him up for. And there's a multitude of reasons for that. But, we constantly say that the halves can only be as good as their forwards in front of them that set them up. So I guess, you got to put some blame onto him as to what's happening with Trindle and Hines. But, I often see him have that first or second big run, and he does a really good job with that. Often he does that. It's then whether he backs up with a second or a third in the set and what happens moving forward as to what is then where I think the half play comes into play. So, yeah, he's still averaging 15 hit ups. He's putting up 170 odd 75 run meters a game. Like it's not
There's a
poor,
few
but there's high
still effort
expectations
areas.
for a dude like this guy.
Yeah, and that's the big thing when you look at it. I feel there's a few defensively effort areas that he has been a little bit below what his standards are, and his standards have been up there. Like we've had him in the top 5 props for 3 years now or something. He's been so good. It's just that when I look at it this year and I just sort of think about it out loud, the Sharkies currently have Nico and AFB as probably their 2 highest paid players. And at the moment this year, I don't think we can sit here and say either of those 2 have been consistently what they need of their best 2 players. And that's probably hurting them. Like we do talk about the squad and stuff, but you look at some of the teams at the moment and they're better players who are at the top are stepping up. Like the Raiders, Fogarty has been unreal for them this year. Tarpany is led from the front. Like that's probably 2 of their higher paid sort of players there, and they're doing a remarkable job for their side. You say for the Warriors, like Fisher Harris has gone over this year and has instilled what I know they lost on the weekend, but he's instilled so much there, and he's been playing really well when he was back from injury. And the Dogs with Crichton, like Stephen Crichton's been the guy there, and he's just like it's a huge team effort there. But I just feel like there's just that little bit missing at the moment for the Sharkies, and I feel like we've said this now for almost since the start of the season, and nothing's really changed from it. And like I said, it just feels like it's very, very slow, but this slow sort of decline is continuing to happen, unfortunately. So very keen to see what reaction is to this game, because if I was a Sharks fan, I'd like to see a reaction in terms of the squad that's named on Tuesday, because conceding that many points to start with shouldn't happen. And that's, again, an attitude problem, a defensive attitude. We've heard all the best coaches in the game say it. And when that's happening, that's clear that the attitude hasn't quite been there this year. Like Trav said, some of the antics of people like Mulatalo, really poor. I think their right edge today was really poor defensively as well. That's where all the points were going, seeping down like a sieve. So really poor right edge.
Just to put it out there, the Titans first for points against at 426. Then as a tie with the Cowboys at 426. Then Eels at 356. Then the Rabbos at 354. And then guess who's next at 340?
Sharkies.
Fifth
That's
worst
a big drop
against.
as well from the
Fifth
top
worst.
2 down. That's not, you're not winning premierships like that. You're not winning, and you're not going in anywhere close to winning a premiership with that. So they need to fix that up ASAP. Quick one on, I just wanted to just salute him again, because James Tedesco for mine has just been remarkable throughout the year. And again today against the Cowboys, they were there for the taking, but it felt like once again it was off the back of their captain, their inspiration, James Tedesco, just being everywhere. I don't know how he continues to put his body through what he does on a weekly basis. And I said it after sort of game 2 that I don't think Dylan Edwards has quite been himself this year. I think everyone can probably agree with that. There's a huge part of me that would go towards James Tedesco for game 3 for the Blues. For just his pure form alone. I get that it's very unlikely it will happen. I think Dylan Edwards, if he's fit, will be there. And look, I'll back him over the hill. To be fair, he didn't do anything too wrong on game 2, but I just think there was a couple of little speed issues for Dylan at the moment with his body. But James Tedesco, club form for the Roosters this season, it feels like ever since everyone wrote him off, 18 months ago now, he's come back from that, used it as motivation. He's just been one of the best players of the competition now for 18 months.
Yeah, 100%. I said this way before Origin when we were predicting our teams that Tedesco was the fullback I would have picked at New South Wales. As a Queenslander, if I'm going to say who would I rather you pick right now on form and the way that things are playing, I would rather you pick Edwards. Because I don't think he offers you that much at this point in time. And that's look, that's probably a little bit on being a bit sort of negative and nasty to him. But there's a few reasons as to why he's not playing well and what's going on. But I don't think he's in form either. I don't think he's actually being the Dylan Edwards that we knew last year. That was a no-brainer to pick. That we all said he should have been picked, as to why we said he should be picked as the Australian fullback too. But right now, in this cauldron, James Tedesco should be the fullback for New South Wales in Game 3. At the end, I think James Tedesco can win you a game, 100%. It's not just what he offers you as defensively. It's what he offers you offensively. It's also what he offers you for your leadership. It's what he offers with experience. This is of everything in that cauldron. And I mean, to be fair, Dylan Edwards won a lot of premierships and has a pretty good resume too. But I just think Teddy has just that big a nous on him just at the moment, late in his career, that would certainly fit. I think realistically he should be picked. He probably won't, more than likely doesn't. But I question why that's not happening. And I don't really want to hear that the future says that this is Dylan Edwards' spot, right? It's at the end of the day, maybe that's what you needed to, and that's where it is, because he did that for the first 2 games. But this is now do or die, right? This is a win now. You've got the series. Pick the player that's going to give you the win this year. And I think it's Tedesco.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like you do need to think now. You need to make it happen. And basically, I just feel like Tedesco is right there. Tedesco is right there. You can't be the best or one of the best players in the competition. I'll say I think he's been the best player in the last 18 months of the competition. And then you look at everyone, consistency-wise, everything, it's James Tedesco, in my opinion. So you can't be that level and just – it has to be there and right there when it comes to a decider at home where he's done it before. So it seems like the stage is set in a way. And again, it's just a huge shout out because I think he's been huge and unreal for the Roosters this year. Last one for the podcast for the review of round 16. It was the last game. It was the Eels performance against the Titans. The Eels, without Dylan Brown and Mitchell Moses, a huge performance by them. I just sort of, obviously myself as a Paris supporter, sort of wanted to just touch on them. Haven't really spoken about them much lately. They've sort of just done their thing in a way. And this, as a fan, we would not have won this sort of a game in the past. I know for sure it felt like the playing group would have just went, you know what, too hard basket, not going to go there. And just going to give up in a way, and just we'll go on next week when Dill's back at least, and then we'll just see what we can do. And even then, we'll just probably wait till Mitch is back fit. I was very worried, very anxious when Mitchell Moses had that next the injury once again, and ruling him out for another 4 to 6 weeks. But Dean Hawkins with another solid performance by him. Not overplaying his hand. That's what I love about the fact that we've got a little bit of depth now, and a guy that will come in. Team first mentality and just do the team stuff. And I really like what I'm starting to see from the Jason Ryles era as well. Like I said, this isn't a win that we would do. I'm not used to us winning these games. And to go out there and I guess I know it was the Titans, they're last, and I tipped the Titans. I actually thought the Titans were almost morals for this win without the starting halves. And then to see Lustick start, not Riley Smith, I was like, that's done me. I understand that. Now, look, I think Lustick was probably there to add a bit of experience, which probably did help us, especially at the start of the game. Junior's turned back the clock this year. I've been really impressed with what Junior Paulo has shown us this year. And there was talk at the start of the year, maybe this will be his last year, but I'm very, very happy to have him on for another year and get us through this little patch. Lomax was huge once again, but just like I said, overall, I think what we're seeing from the Eels at the moment, Eels fans can be pretty happy with. I feel like it'd be nice to be a bit further up the ladder at the moment. Just being down that low doesn't look nice. It's not a nice feeling. But I think everyone out there, even those that love to bag us, I know there's a few out there that love to do it, can at least see a club that, look, me 3, 4, 5 months ago was seeing a club that I thought was going to be in the doldrums this year. But we're seeing a bit of spark, a bit of light.
Yes, I think you are. I'm just looking at some stats to try and back myself in what I'm about to say. But I actually think, to be fair, the Eels deserve to be down the bottom. That are consistently across the year, that's how they've played. and haven't done enough. So therefore, they need to be down the bottom. And statistically, points for 267, points against 356. It's the third worst defensive team in the competition with a minus 89 break point differential, which doesn't bode very well. So therefore, I think where they are is about where they sit. Is about where is terribly worded sentence there. Sorry, where they are is fitting. And I agree with where they are. However, on a positive note, they are playing at points in time are playing some really good footy. And they've unearthed and blooded some really good young guys. The fact Jack Williams is a gun and is playing really well. Isaiah Iongi will be a top 5 fullback, and that's being conservative over his career. I think he's going to be one of the best. He is just a beast. I thought Joash Papali today was awesome. I thought he was brilliant. Do I think he's a natural 6 and will fit alongside Moses? I don't, but I think what he showed today is that he's going to be very good for you. You just got to find a position for him and just stick him there and stick out with him. How good's Lomax? Like that. He's just a gun. So yeah, like I think you should be proud, to be honest. And whilst where you are sitting on the ladder is a bit heartbreaking for you, you kind of deserve to be there because of what's happened across the board. But there's lots of things to stick out and to show you guys as Para fans that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And the other side of this that I also want to talk about is early days. There was lots of chat around Riles, and new coach that you should have been able to see a bit more from your team. I'm not seeing that. There was chatter even amongst yourselves, like you Para fans like you, Joel, that was they're saying, what has he done over the preseason? I'm looking at this going, what's going on? And now you're looking at it going, that's what I saw. That's what he did. It just had to take time to click in, and we needed some of these guys to get back. So I think you should be really, really stoked with the level of what you're at, because realistically, I don't think you really thought that you were going to get any further. Realistically, in all honesty, you didn't think you were going to be too much better than what you actually are. And I think you've far exceeded expectations, and so it's only above and beyond here.
Yeah, I feel like it was always going to be a tough year. It was always put down, I guess, from myself anyway. I know some people question me out there, but I'm a very passionate fan. I love the club. People can't take that away from me and know that I do that. But it's not I feel like last year, for instance, that was a hard year. That was a tough year to get through. Where this year, even though there's been some losses, and look, the start of the year, I'm trying to take that away because we were very poor at the start of the year. I know that. I feel like since probably round about 5, where we've started to see Riles' effect take more and more impact into this team, and we've seen sort of what's happening and what's to come, and the fact that we've got so many of those young guys coming through, getting time, it fills us with a bit of confidence now. It fills me with some confidence knowing that this team is standing for something moving forward, and I've got a team that I can cheer for. I can start to go into games each week going, you know what? If we can actually go in and play to the game plan, we're in with a chance. And that's been a while now, the last 2-3 years, where there was a number of games where you'd go into that going, oh, we're no chance. I'm going to sit there and watch it, obviously, but would love to be doing anything but now I look forward every week, because even if we don't get the win, I still get to watch some of these kids who will be in this team and club hopefully for 4, 5, 6, 10 years, and we can see him come through. Like Iongi, you mentioned him. I want a special mention out to him. He's been freaking ridiculous this year. Like, he has been so good to watch. I was Gutho's biggest #1 fan, and I think everyone knows that. I love the bloke. I love what he did for our club. Love what he did put his body through for our club. I'll never, ever say a bad word about him. Just that my admiration for him. But this whole changeover effect that has now come into it, you can see what's happening there. You can see, and then the fact that Papali, I should say, that is just waiting there. He's a fullback as well. Like, the depth there is really good at the moment, and Iongi's performances week in, week out, I think Para fans have underestimated or underrated his performances this year, Ongi's been huge already. Like Trav said, top 5 throughout his career. I think within the next 12 months, he will get to that status of a top 5 fullback in this game. Give him 12 months and he'll have that down pat. He's showing so much courage, speed, skill, bravery. Like there's some hits that he's copping and he just gets back up almost laughing, going, I love this. That's what we'd love to see, these kids coming through showing that. So I'm so excited to see Ongi. He's very much quickly become probably my favorite player at the blue and gold. And so keen every week to see him at the back. And I'm already now starting to feel quite safe. Like even those bombs and stuff that get put up, I just feel safe. But I always had that with Gutho. And now I'm starting to get that same vibe with Ongi, which again, I just think he's been unreal. He's probably been, for mine, the Eels' best player this year.
Oh, that's a big call. I didn't think he was great to start the year. I thought he sort of started coming into his own when Moses came in, and then Moses has been out through Origin, and Iongi's kind of kept that sort of going. He just needed to get those games under his belt, get the confidence to do in his feet and his body to say, yeah, I can actually do this. I wouldn't say he has been. I actually think Jack Williams has probably been one of your better ones for a whole season. I think he's been really good. But yeah, I really like what he's doing. I'll give you a few other shout outs. The Dylan Walker mid-season signing was enormous. That's an incredibly underrated signing. He's been very good. I love Katoni Katoga. I just love watching him. You guys should be really stoked to have him on an edge as an edge back rower, because he's just come out of nowhere. 189 meters today, 4 tackle breaks and a 1 line break. I think is a great game by the stats. Again, Jack Williams was good. Penasini today was pretty good. 179 meters from based off the stats with 2 tries. I think you guys are just starting to sort of get some things into gear. And then let's give, and I'll end my chat on this with the Riles bow and arrow. Boom. Love that try.
It'd be great. I just can't wait.
Call that try.
that was great to watch. Great to watch. He's shown a bit of character as well, which I love. We love having a coach now that's actually happy to be upfront and honest as well with the media and stuff. He says it how it is. He's almost, if anything, he probably gave him too much away, and he's been guilty of that. Some of our game plans and talking about it post game and how he works things and stuff like that. Sometimes I'm like, Jace, just chill a little bit. Don't give too much away. Just go back into the Wayne Bennett aura and don't say much. But I love it, and I just hope
he's still figuring it out.
Yeah, he is. He's doing well. He's getting there. So hopefully we can just get some of our troops back, some of the big guys anyway, and put a few more performances on throughout the year. I'm not going to sit here and predict anything outrageous. I just think we'll put in a couple more of those really good performances. We'll continue to improve, and it definitely bodes well for the future anyway. But yeah, that's it for us tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. Smash that like button, subscribe button, all that jazz. Same across our social media pages. All growing really well. So really thankful for all the growth that we are experiencing, that you're getting behind. Very keen, as I said, that Game 3 watch party at the Caxton Street Brewing Company. Very, very keen to be part of that, and stay across our social media platforms to get more information very, very shortly. Thank you, Trav. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We will see you throughout the week.